Just thought I'd go on a peaceful protest. See if anyone wants to join me. We've got protests happening all over Australia at the moment. Black Lives Matter protests. Despite attempts. I don't know if it was an attempt. I've got to come and get these puppies. Everyone's looking at that going, they're plants. Yeah, they are, but those little baby plants, they're called puppies. Oh, it's a cold day today and I've been studying. Just going for a stroll. See if anyone's around. Talk about the protests that are happening, because I think it was New South Wales rushed some legislation through to prevent the protests happening in Sydney today. And health experts are saying with COVID-19 there could be some pretty serious ramifications of people not social distancing or wearing masks. And there's footage of protests happening all over the country. I did see a photo, I think it was in Adelaide, where some people had masks on, but they weren't social distancing. Oh, someone's here, hello. But it just made me think, shit, you know, like, imagine if there's suddenly a whole new cluster of COVID-19 because of this. And also, I'm pretty sure one of the episodes of CoronaCast, the ABC podcast about COVID-19, Dr. Norman Swan, Serenity B, oh cool. I've got someone doing some burning off up here. Out on the roads, kind of unusual. Unless it's just a little fire pot to keep them warm while they work in the garden. I don't know. How you doing? Didn't think I was going to have to walk through a cloud of smoke, but here we go. That lovely burning eucalyptus smell. Like, seriously, I love it. So do all the Maggies by the looks of it. You thought the same about the coronavirus aspect of it? Because, yeah, there's another aspect to it too, which I'm pretty sure one of the episodes of the CoronaCast podcast, Dr. Norman Swan actually talks about who the most vulnerable people are for COVID-19, like the chances of recovery are bad, and you know, it's obviously like, oh hang on, the sun's in my eyes. You know, and I'm pretty sure he said Indigenous Australians are, I don't know if he actually spoke about an Indigenous Australian who has COVID-19, but because of the way they, like for example, don't process alcohol the same way Caucasians do, that they would be considered vulnerable. And then I was thinking, fuck, like, I mean, I'm not being scaremongery, but if somebody who has COVID-19 and could have that dormant strain, let's go down the little track. But yeah, if someone's got the dormant strain and they're not social distancing and they're not wearing masks and they're at a Black Lives Matter protest, not a protest against Black Lives obviously, but and they pass it on to Indigenous people in the community, like, I don't know, I'm so conflicted by all of this. Yeah, me too, hun. Grab a bottle of red, come over, I'll put up a cheese plate and we can talk about it from a distance. The thing that got me was the whole point of New South Wales seeking that legislation to go through urgently to make these protests illegal, essentially. It's based on health advice. At least that's my understanding. I don't think it's political. And I'm cold. Hang on a sec. Just gotta get a bit zipped up here. It's really cold. I need to start wearing gloves on my walk. That's how cold it is. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's beautiful. Like it's a pretty day or afternoon, but it's getting to that sort of mid-afternoon, light the fire, get into it's probably about, I think the top today was 11, so it's probably about 9 now. So yeah, it's a brisk walk, not a long walk. But yeah, I'm all for this topic to become a conversation that goes on for a very long time until some of the families of the 432 Indigenous men and women who lost their lives in custody, you know, like, let's bring these fuckers to justice, whoever's responsible. And I think the conversation's really important. And if this, you know, if what's going on in the US is inspiring everyone in Australia to get fired up, that can't be a bad thing. But again, like we chatted about the other day, how many of the people at these protests are actually lobbying? How many people are actually, you know, emailing the right people, contacting the right people, speaking up about it to people that are capable of looking into this, you know, to get an inquiry happening or whatever's required? I don't want to be a Debbie Downer, and maybe I am being a bit cynical, but I just don't think it's the right time. And I don't think that taking such massive risks with other people's health is worth it. Especially at rallies where, you know, there's all these amazing photos. I've got to say, they are beautiful photos of Indigenous men and women with face paint and other people getting their faces painted, but again, there's no social distancing. And I just think, fuck, the potential. And maybe, you know, maybe nobody with COVID-19 or nobody who's asymptomatic and doesn't know they've got it won't go to these things, but what a risk to take. And how are you going to feel if you do find out after you've been at the rally that you are positive and you've possibly, just blows my mind. Anyway, I'm glad I'm not the only one who feels this way. I don't know. Wouldn't today have been a better day for people to actually spread details of who needs to be contacted, where the pressure needs to be applied, you know, setting up template petitions, keeping people safe? I don't know. Maybe I am being a bit melodramatic, but Tassie's got, I think we've only got 3 people left on the island now that are positive. And, or might even be only 2. It's 2 or 3. We've had no new cases in 3 weeks, 21 days. The people who have got it, unfortunately, have been in ICU, both of them, for a long time, and they're obviously not doing greatly. Thank you, Serenity B. It's you and me, babes. I love it. So it's not likely that anyone who goes to the peaceful protest in Tassie, well, it's not highly likely that someone will catch it, because unless we've got some dormant peeps floating around. So I'm just saying the risk is really low. But I still didn't want to go. I didn't want to go and see nobody social distancing. Like, the restrictions are now being lifted, but there are some that are still in place, like social distancing. It is a logistical nightmare. And I just feel like, to me, I'm just expecting there to be bad news coming out of Sydney in the next few weeks now. I hope there's not. But, like, Victoria's kind of getting a bit of a battering again. Might only be small, but it only takes one person, right? So, yeah, and it's stressful enough just going to buy bread and milk and just having to deal with people in shops who are just clueless. Imagine being in a whole crowd. So we had our restrictions lifted at 3 p.m. yesterday to move us into stage 2. Yeah, I know you're in Victoria, and I'm worrying about Victorians because I've got lots of beautiful friends there, including you. And it's so much harder for you guys to contain it. And yeah, it just doesn't take shitloads of people to pass it on. It takes one. I mean, look at what happened. The first main coronavirus COVID-19 cluster in Australia was following that wedding in New South Wales. One guy infected 34 people. Look, there's some good swells happening out there. Look at that one right at the back. Nice. Did anyone catch it? No. Come on, maybe this guy will. And he's up and he's off. So yeah, we're in stage 2 now, so we can have 10 people at our house, visit our houses. I don't know if you can, I think they can sleep over now maybe. Shacks, people are allowed to come to their shacks, and of course it's a long weekend, so lots of people have headed down here because this place is it's about 60% permanent residents, 40% shack owners. So a lot of people are finally getting to come back down to their shacks. So there's a good vibe down here today. There's a lot of people that are feeling positive. And as long as the borders in Tassie stay closed a bit longer, we should be good. Yeah, they stay over, correct. I mean, I don't want to have 10 people in my house, because I was talking to my friends about this the other day too. Like, I don't want us to have to police people in my own home. You know, if I've got the friend who is hugging everyone, putting their handbag on my kitchen counter, that's been fuck knows where. Again, I mean, the risks here now are very low. But what about the dormants? Like the woman in Queensland. Was it fucking 60 days after she got off the Ruby Princess, tested positive? But anyway, it's lovely to have people a little bit more happy and so on down here. And I guess it's something too, I suppose, with the this is the shell part of the beach. There's not many shells up near me. I mean, there's little shells scattered along the beach, but this end, there's always... You're going through the same, get to take the shoes off at the front door. Yeah, and look, isn't it weird? I had a chat to a friend yesterday about it and just said, you know, look, it's sort of... it's going to create a whole new level of anxiety for people just having people coming to their homes. Like, there's certain friends of mine, and my sister's one of my closest friends, and I don't have to worry about her. Like, I know that she'll do the right thing, but I don't want to have people that I'm constantly saying, hey, have you washed your hands? You wipe down the benches. And again, I mean, I suppose here we're lucky in a way, because if the people that are left in hospital recover and no new cases in 3 weeks, it's looking pretty good here. But we're only just in the first week of winter, so I kind of feel like, in terms of catching up with people and socialising in groups and stuff, I'm sort of happy to wait till September, October, just to see what happens for the next couple of months. You know, yeah, life goes on and we're all returning to offices and all that sort of stuff, but I don't want to have to police people in my own home. And I don't want the stress of someone I love being in my home who's not doing the right thing and giving me shit because I'd like them to. I don't want to get my feet wet. It's so beautiful down here. That little bit of sunshine is actually really warm and feels lush. So yeah, it's hard. Like, nobody that's doing the right thing or being reasonable should have to explain themselves or justify it. But it's other people being flippant, especially say like where you are, Serenity Bee, like, it's still very much in the community and you do have to be really vigilant. Are you going to stop people visiting for a while till you feel you're no longer, you know, likely to be exposed? Or are you just going to invite people that you know you don't have to keep reminding them? Sanitizer in every room. Yeah, see, I've only had my sister visit me, and that was last weekend. And other than that, the only people that have been to my house since we all went into self-isolation have been delivery people and my lawnmower dude. And none of them have actually been in my house. But yeah, I've got a respiratory condition, so I don't really want to have to say to people to stay away. And I think down here we're okay as long as the borders are shut. But they're going to have to reopen at some point. Lovable Rogue, hey! Oh, you've been awake all night, you poor thing. I hope you're not in that horrible place of looking at your clock and going, oh my God, I've got to get up in 3 hours, and then you just can't get to sleep. And it's like, oh shit, I've got to get up in 2 hours. Nice to see you. Some great swells happening down here. The surf's always, it's so cruel. Tassie's got, we don't have crazy hot summers, but we've got nice summers, like, you know, that you can go swimming in your bathers and not get frostbite. But the surf is always so much better in winter. It's mean. And we only had like, God, I think I only went in the ocean maybe a dozen times total this summer. And a couple of those times it was more out of protest. Like, I refused to not have another swim. And it wasn't warm. It didn't. The water here can get up to 24 degrees in summer if it's hot every day. But it just wasn't. It was a weird summer. But I love showing Tassie off now, because people, yeah, it does get cold here in winter, but because it's a little island, people don't realise we get a lot of sunshine. It's not, pardon me, it's not common for us to have full-on cloud cover for days on end and not see any sunshine. Like, the clouds blow over the island pretty quickly. And yeah, like people seeing that it's not this freezing cold, miserable wet place, because this is a very typical winter's day. How do you cope with the respiratory system, Tori, in the warm weather? Suffer bad in summer with COPD. It was 0 freezing. Yeah, you do. Yeah. The coldest I've ever been in Australia is in Melbourne. Like, I got chilled through to my bones. And this was back in the days when they said, go and lie in a solarium for an hour. Lovable rogue. So my respiratory system is worse in cold weather, funnily enough. My respiratory issues. So if I get really cold air on my chest, that can bring about a bit of a coughing asthma type attack. I'm usually really good in summer, and I really flourish in dry climates, and Tassie is actually a dry climate. It's cold, but we don't have the rainfall that other parts of the country, well, not all the other parts, I mean shitloads of the country's in drought just like Tassie is. But yeah, I'm better in a warmer climate, as long as it's dry. Humidity stuffs me around, don't like it. I mean, don't get me wrong, I've travelled to heaps of places that are really humid, but even Vietnam, I mean, I lived there, but yeah, for me it's worse in winter if my chest gets cold. The humidity suffocates you. Yeah, I would imagine. Yeah, it's not easy. I mean, where we were in Vietnam wasn't too bad. Like, we were in Hoi An, so we're sort of halfway. We're sort of in the middle, the central coastal Vietnam, and it wasn't too bad. It was only bad after like a typhoon or a lot of rain. It'd be a bit humid and sticky for a few days, but the heat there for the most part was really dry. You know, I moved to Adelaide because it was dry. Well, I studied there, but I loved it there because I love the dry heat, dry weather. Yeah, Queensland. The humidity is killer, and there's a lot of people from Queensland who've moved to Tassie as well because they just got sick of the heat and the humidity. It's quite funny. A lot of Tasmanians move to Queensland because they're sick of the cold weather, and a lot of Queenslanders move to Tassie because they're sick of the hot weather. But as long as everyone finds a place where they're happy. I'm just loving this. It's like the ocean's in lots of different tiers today at this tide, and the waves out the back are stunning. But then you've got all these little tiers coming in. We are a weird mob. But speaking of mobs and all the protests happening today, I just, not that the protesters are mobs, I was using the Indigenous term mob. Yeah, I guess I'm like you, Serenity Bee. I can't really be that eloquent about it because I'm kind of in shock. I'm in shock. I think that the topic is really important. Not just what's happening in the States, but even more so what's happening in Australia with our Indigenous population. But how many of these fuckers who are all crammed up in these protests are actually doing anything other than being at the protest? I'm on this rant again. Because again, I just feel that I think it's good that people are aware of how bad it is here. Like, some people just can't keep their heads buried in the sand anymore. They've got to own up and accept this stuff is factual. But in a city where COVID-19 is still pretty prevalent, to be out at a riot, not social distancing, not wearing masks, whatever good they are, I think it's pretty much agreed that unless they're like high grade medical ones, they're kind of pointless, right? I mean, I heard Dr. Swan saying this morning, if you can't get the high medical grade ones, and I don't think he was talking about the protest, but just generally, apparently the best fabric to use is denim. But again, if you've got COVID-19 and you're wearing a mask, the only thing really, that's the only time they're probably worth wearing, because it might reduce the amount that you're spreading. How many droplets are getting out. But it, you know, your little sort of surgical mask, I don't think they're really doing much at all unless you've got COVID-19. Eric, hello. Throw some poison in it. Hell no. It's a bit later in the day, Lovable Rogue. It's like, I mean, we are in winter now, but it's 4:45 PM. So, yeah, it's a bit later in the day for my usual walks. We're not poisoning them. The oceans. What are they touching? No, I know you joke, Eric. I do too. I'm very dry sometimes. I don't think people always get my humour. But it did make me think though, Eric, about Trump today. The Trump shit I woke up to. Now, I'm vocal about the guy because we see the shit, and I'm not bashing anyone who supports him. People can choose to vote for whoever the fuck they want, but sometimes people you vote for say dumb shit, and I just wish some Trump supporters would admit that he's not great 100% of the time. Like, it's okay to admit the politician you like can be a fuckwit. There's nothing wrong with that. But his latest little speech about employment in the States and connecting it to George Floyd and saying it's a great day for George Floyd and a great day for America. What the fuck is he smoking? Back to you, Serenity B. What are they touching? What do you mean? Like at the protests? Or did I miss something? I mean, I don't know what they're touching. I mean, the fact that they're all happily not social distancing and crammed in together and not wearing face masks, I don't know if touching's that big a deal. It's an airborne illness. I mean, yeah, it survives on surfaces, but that's not the risky way to catch it. Like, it can be caught from a surface. But for the most part, it's a hitchhiking virus. It's past, you know, it's all respiratory stuff. So, but I don't know what they're touching. I don't know. Touch this. But what about Trump? Oh, you were what? Oh, I see what you're saying. Like, but what are they touching? As in, think of all the things they're touching. I think that's where you're coming from. Take turns from microphones, different microphones. I hope so. I mean, the print radio station that I volunteer for, they're closed now anyway. Just got an alert from CNN, video of police pushing an elderly man to the ground. I'm not going to watch that. Yeah, so our radio station's been closed since we all had to self-isolate, but even right before that, when COVID-19 was sort of hooning around the planet a little bit, they sent out an email saying they were going to change over the microphone socks once a week, and I was like, what, you're not already? Gross. And then within 24 hours, they're like, we're actually going to be changing them daily. It's hard to think and write. That's right, it's hard to walk and think too. That's why I stop sometimes. May have wiped them down. Yeah, you'd think so, but it's not really, again. I mean, if you spoke into a microphone and you had COVID-19 and it landed on the surface, then the next person, they didn't wipe the mic down, you'd have to actually touch that surface or lick it to get, or touch it and then put your fingers in your mouth to get COVID-19. So it's more the people in the crowd that are just hanging around and talking to each other face to face, not social distancing for more than 15 minutes, that are likely to get it, because the little thing's airborne and it's floating around. But yeah, I'm sure they'd be changing the microphones over, but it doesn't. Yeah, I mean, the speakers probably won't end up catching it, but let's just wait and see. I mean, I'm sending out all the positive vibes I can that there isn't a super spreader, but I think we were chatting about it the other day down here. It just takes one person with bad intentions who catches it to go, you know what, I could actually go into a crowd. I mean, seriously, it's the perfect murder, right? Right now. Get COVID-19 and spread it deliberately. Go and visit your parents you don't like with it. Kiss them, hug them. You know, it just takes one person with bad intentions. And there is legislation in Australia to supposedly protect all of us from that kind of stuff happening. But do you honestly think, with the way this is so contagious, someone with the wrong intentions would probably be like, well, if it can be proven it was me, I'm going down, so I might as well spread it and go to Victoria Markets or Central Market in Adelaide, or a protest on the weekend. Alright. The people who faithfully support Trump are the ones that are the problem. Kind of like Trump. Every time he speaks, it's like watching a top-notch stand-up comedian. Exactly, Eric. Exactly. When he got in, there's this fucking self-righteous TV show on commercial TV, which I don't watch anymore, but I used to watch this show on my laptop because it's kind of a current affairs show with a bit of a comedic bent. But when Trump got in, they did this massive, we will never joke about Trump because it's no joke, and sort of lectured the comedy world about, you know, any comedians who make jokes about Trump aren't good comedians. And it's like, fuck off. I mean, I remember when George W. Bush left office, I was like, fuck, there goes shitloads of instant one-liners. So there are quite a few comedians who do political comedy who were rejoicing when Trump got in. And then this fucking sanctimonious show, we will not joke about it. Well, don't. That's your call. But the reality is you don't actually have to write jokes about Trump. You just have to quote him. And George W. Bush was the same. It was never-ending material. But I agree, and faithful supporters on any side of the fence are dangerous. I've got a friend who voted for Trump who is very open about why. It's a male. It's not anyone any of you guys would know. He's an American mate of mine from when I went to school there. He said he'd never vote for Trump if he was female, and then I was like, well, why did you vote for him? Because you're male. But anyway, he's also very critical of him. But for him, he felt Trump was the better option. Now, I can't get into a debate with him about that because that's his choice. But he's really aware that Trump is appalling and way worse than he thought. To be honest, I was just proud of him for voting, because I've got quite a few American friends who don't. But then they whinge about Trump, and it's like, well, you know, I don't think you get to comment. But yeah, I think the blind followers in any political party in any country are dangerous. But how can anyone think what Trump's been doing in the last few weeks is like, how can anyone not find at least one fault in one of the things that he's done? Let's all drink disinfectant and kill the virus, like. And then Trump supporters, rather than going, yeah, that was really fucked up, oh, he was being sarcastic. No, he wasn't. He might be really good at business, but he's not intelligent enough to deliver sarcasm well. He's just not. I'm sorry. Comedy's not his forte. Accidental comedy is. But yeah, it takes a bit of intelligence to be sarcastic and do it well. Second wave hasn't come in. Mark Gresty, hello. Hey there, how you doing? With Trump, you've got to read between the lines. I like him, he's genuine. I mean, he's a genuine fuckwit. But he's genuine better than hearing the... Yeah. That's not actually that dissimilar to my friend Jerry's views, interestingly. And I get that. And he is a genuine fuckwit too. He says what he feels and thinks for real, not like the rest that just straight out lie. He's genuine, but you have to read between the lines. Good point, Eric. He's a guy that can't really express himself without putting his foot in the shit. You were just going to drink Kool-Aid. Me too, Serenity B. He didn't tell people to drink what. You're still here, Mark? Yeah, he did. Well, he did. And... well, no, he didn't stand up and go, everyone must drink it. But he did say that he had been reading about it and listening to a doctor talking about it, and he thought it was a possible theory. He did also, what was the other, I can't remember the name of it. What was the other one that he spoke about? And the couple in Midwest America that drank fish tank cleaning fluid and one of them died. Now, don't get me wrong. They're not, we don't want them on our team, really. Like, I'm all for Darwinism, so I kind of feel, well, you know, if Trump says maybe fish tank cleaner can fix it and you decide to drink it, that's kind of on you. But by the same token, people like Trump have got these followings that don't question what he says, and that's where some of the shit that he says is dangerous. And he definitely wasn't being sarcastic about the disinfectant. He did actually lie about that. He said it. He was serious. You could see his staff member and the doctor just looking at him going, what the fuck do we do now? And then to say the next day, I was just joking. No, that was actually a lie. Donald, you weren't. You weren't. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Well, I think he's stupid for saying it too. I think that's stupid. I think it's irresponsible. You guys are, I'm assuming you're in the States, but you guys, your level of patriotism is far stronger than where I live. And when I went to Hawaii 18 months ago, I was in a bar and one of Trump's campaign songs, Make America Great Again, came on. And people stood up, not many, I've got to say, a handful of people stood up and put their hands on their hearts and had tears rolling down their cheeks. And I loved the patriotism about America when I was there, but it also scared the fuck out of me. Like, it was admirable, but it was also a bit excessive. And I think it's great to be patriotic. But I also think it's great to accept that your country's got flaws. And I think it's also great that leaders are questioned. But this blind faith, he's got a responsibility. So yeah, the people who chose to drink it, not the sharpest knives in the block, I don't disagree with that. But he planted the seed, and that was stupid too. Yeah, well, no, well, it was it was an ingredient in commonly found in fish tank cleaning products. He didn't stand up and say, drink fish tank cleaning fluid, but he did talk about, prior to the disinfectant, he did speak about another thing, and I can't remember the name of it, another chemical, and it's commonly found in fish tank cleaning equipment or products. He was talking about the chemical compound, and there was stats to suggest it could help. He wasn't wrong, just dumb when you live in Oz. Cool, nice to have you here. I mean, I don't care where you live, it's cool. You're welcome. Prefer it if you were in Vietnam, actually, so I could speak Vietnamese. I've never had a Vietnamese sub. Xin chào. Anywho, yeah, and I agree with you, but I also think that the way he said it, because even with the disinfectant that came after the fish tank couple took his advice, it's the way in which he said it. And yes, there are studies happening and suggesting these things might be beneficial, but maybe let the scientists talk about it to the general public of America, not him, because he's kind of a little bit goofy, and he is a little bit, let's take a swig and see what happens, whereas the scientists would be like, so far there is evidence to suggest this may have some impact. However, the means in which we can apply this to try and eradicate COVID-19, we're not sure about yet. So hold off, people, till we know more. I don't want to be ageist, but those three women, they're not social distancing, and I don't believe they're three lesbians who live under the same roof or housemates, but further. They just, like, I got walked through, you know, like I was a pole in the way, and they didn't even move a millimetre. See, this is it. The chances of them having it, pretty much non-existent. But I'm really liking my personal space, and they were all very close to me. Social distancing has, I thought, could bring about the end of the personal space invaders, but the three of them, very close, very close. That wave was amazing. It's a stunning view, isn't it, dude? Anne-Marie, hello, gorgeous. How are you? So if I told you sulfur-cured brain damage, would you go and drink volcanic? Yeah, exactly. I know. But yeah, I think you're missing my point, though, Mark. I agree. I brought that up. The fish tank cleaning people who died, or one of them died. Yeah, Darwin, all for it. Don't want those fuckers on our team. I'm on that page. I just think that the leader of a country who has his citizens stand up, put their hands to their hearts and weep like babies when one of his campaign songs comes on, has a responsibility to maybe clap out the syllables or wait until the experts say something first. Or at least get a briefing from them that says something like, we are advancing our research in these areas and some of it's looking promising, and not mention what the fuck it is. That's all I'm saying. It's a stunning view, isn't it, Groover? Whereabouts are you? What state are you in, Mark? I'm actually going to start walking up the dunes in a minute, so I'm going to turn off the camera because the sun be heading down over there. I could have gone the other way and shown you a sunset. But it was the call over the waves today. But yeah, Trump wasn't really my point. Well, he was. I brought him up. His latest speech. I don't think today's a great day for George Floyd, and I think that was a stupid thing for him to say, and not as premier, as fucking president of the United States, as an insensitive person. I don't think George Floyd's parents are going to take comfort in the fact the employment figures aren't too bad, or whatever he said. Hello, puppy. I've got a new friend. Just put your dog on YouTube. I just put your dog on YouTube. It is, it's gorgeous, isn't it? And the sunset will be beautiful over at Red Ochre, but I'll do that soon. We're getting lots of, my place gets the sunrise, but when the sun starts to set, lots of pink skies, so I know that the sunsets are pretty stunning. I'll jump in the car one day and take you around there. Adelaide, nice. I lived there for nearly 20 years. We're talking about Adelaide before you arrived in my life, about the dry climate that I love, which is also why I love Tassie, because it's a dry climate. But anywho, Groovers, and I was talking about the protests today, the the only photos of any city where people, they still weren't social distancing, but I did see one face mask was Adelaide. So you got a gold star from that too. What was I going to say before I signed off? Yeah, the protests. I'm just hoping that the medical experts are being ultra conservative in saying, what the fuck are you doing? And no one's going to be a super spreader. And I'm hoping in the next week or so we don't suddenly see an increase in numbers again. That'd suck. But I also would love that all the people who were protesting today, and rightly so, I just don't think the timing was great, but I hope they're doing more than just protesting. I know that being at the protest would have made a lot of them feel better about themselves, but if they're not actually lobbying and contacting the right people and not giving up on this until it's heard, then their attendance at the protest today was really just about them. That was deep, right? Oh no, I like the little laneway bars and cafes, Mark. Adelaide's grown up a lot. I lived there. I moved there in the 80s, and then in the last five and a half years of my job, I've gone to Adelaide for a fortnight every month. It's grown up. I just think the only thing wrong with Adelaide is it's just got to stop trying to keep up with Melbourne and Sydney and just be comfortable being what it is, because it's fine as it is. Not as deep as my last point that I was going to sign off on, but anywho, the dunes await. Say goodbye to Carlton Park Beach, people. I hope they don't get violent too. The looting and rioting stuff, Dan, I've talked about that on the beach before. Like, I can understand anger getting to a boiling point, and the rioting is a byproduct of that. Not a fan of the looting. Don't fuck with people's livelihoods who have nothing to do with this. But, you know, the peaceful protests at the end of the day, unless the people at them are also actively lobbying and fighting hard, not physically but verbally, then the only benefit of them going today is they can put a little picture on their Facebook page and say, look how cool I am. I'm such a cynic. Yeah, I agree, Mark. Yeah, thumbs up, guys. Show your love as I head up through the dunes. It's cold now that I'm not in the sun. I love that pinch though. That little pinch on your cheeks from fresh air. That's so nice. Alright, this is one of my favourite spots. I just love that little circle, little archway. Thanks, Serenity Bee. Thanks for joining me, everyone. And I know that Aussie Outlaw just went live. If any of you are looking for somewhere to go and watch a live, he's just gone live. And enjoy your Saturday evenings or mornings, whatever you're up to, and take care, Groovers. Talk soon. Good to meet you, Mark, too. Oh, hang on, before I go, Do you follow one of your teams, and if so, which one? Because I've been nice and welcoming, and then I just went, It is a beautiful view. Thanks for joining us, Mark. Look at that. Just waiting to see what team you support. I can't end till I know. Good chat though, mate. Really enjoyed it. Especially the Trumpy dump stuff. And I'm with you and Eric. At least at the end of the day, he's good for some laughs. And call me smug. Ah, you're a gamer, no time for footy. Fair enough, that's a good answer. Good answer. Yeah, I'm just glad I don't live in Gilead. That's all I'm going to say. Sorry to any Americans who watch the playback, but yeah. I love you guys. Oh, come on, Mark. I can't end on this note. Why? Can the pair? Just mortally offended this Crows supporter. I'm actually a Geelong supporter, but I was the lawyer for the Crows for a couple of years, so I've got a bit of a soft spot. Anywho, here's the view I'm leaving you on. Love you guys. Take care, everyone. Stay warm. See you all soon.